Oh, he just made it 8?
800, yeah.
What is Daniel looking at? 6 deuce suited?
This isn't all that uncommon of a hand for Daniel to limp in with. There has been a raise already.
How about a re-raise to 3,600?
Forget the loose cannon. Daniel's now trying to isolate Phil Hellmuth.
Doyle pocket jacks.
Don't think he was counting on Doyle waking up with such a big hand.
Look, who lost the last pot?
Doyle would typically be the one to 3-bet in this spot with 2 jacks, but since Daniel did it for him, he just calls.
That gets Phil Lock and Tony G out of the hand, and now action back on Hellmuth. Makes the call.
Daniel's repping a big hand before the flop. Let's see if Doyle coming along for the ride causes him to change his game plan at all.
So 3 players to the flop. 5-7 queen. It misses everyone. Hellmuth checks.
That's right. So that means Doyle's still in the lead with 2 jacks.
Negreanu checks.
You expect Daniel to try to continue his pre-flop ruse, but I think Doyle's presence in the hand has thrown him off a bit.
It checked around. A 4 of spades on the turn. No help to anyone.
Daniel has picked up a draw now. He has an up and down straight draw.
Phil Hellmuth chips in hand.
Finally feels like it's safe to maybe take a stab here.
Bet 7,000.
Well, Phil doesn't have anything. He's now leading out into a guy who 3-bet and another guy who called a 3-bet. So this bluff from Hellmuth actually carries a lot of weight. It's not just a snap call for Daniel with an open-ended straight draw.
I think I got the best looking into the...
Daniel does make the call.
Now, with Daniel and Phil raising and re-raising and betting into each other, it's going to be very tough for Doyle to know he has the best hand.
Gets rid of the best hand. So it's Daniel and Hellmuth off to the river, which is a deuce of spades. Daniel hits bottom pair.
Not only bottom pair for the board, bottom pair for the entire deck. Hellmuth has nothing, but he can still maybe win this pot with the right size bet.
Didn't Daniel say bluffs are good for the game a little earlier?
Only if you show him.
6,000.
Bet of 6,000 by Phil Hellmuth.
This is a very small bet compared to the size of the rest of the pot. It's also smaller than the bet he just made on the turn. Let's see if Daniel can figure it out.
Just don't reach for a bunch of those great chips. Why? You might just shove it on me.
Phil insinuating he'll make a snap call. That orange chip is 25K. A lot of power in that little stack.
Negreanu makes it 46,000.
Daniel's correctly read Phil is weak and stuck in a huge bet with only a pair of deuces.
Speech time. It's gotta come.
He might have like 6-9 offsuit. It's Daniel. Good bet.
And Phil lays it down.
Finally got there. It took a while, but I had you.
He nailed it. Look at that. That's sick. That's not going to look good on TV.
Yeah, whatever that is, it's not going to look good.
That's going to be bad for a profile, unfortunately.
Little do they know, Daniel did have the best hand.
I play so bad. I know Daniel's playing the rush and he's going to re-raise.
Yes, that was what I was doing.
I knew
The analysis post-flop is not the time to get it right. You didn't have to during the hand.
You didn't have a pair? You couldn't call?
5-4.
Imagine you made like a call with 2 3s.
Huh?
What are you doing betting 6,000?
That's when I'm supposed to pick off all the chips from him. When he
bet
starts
6,000?
starts messing with me.
That's if you have a, like,
You got Doyle smiling. He's stuck 100,000. That's hard to do.
We're just getting warmed up, Danny boy. Good play, buddy.
The poker brat takes one on the chin from Daniel, and the rest of the table now seems poised, waiting for Mount St. Hellmuth to erupt.
PokerStars.net is now offering you poker tips directly on your phone. We will send you text messages and video tips from the PokerStars.net pros. All you gotta do is text POKER to the short code 52525. Really easy. Text message POKER to 52525 now. Standard text message rates apply.
Welcome back to Las Vegas, home of the big game.
That was fun. Want to do an interview? No, I'm kidding.
A Kid Poker looks pleased with the result of that last hand against Phil Hellmuth. It was an interesting play by Daniel, who allows us the opportunity to get inside his head. Let's go behind the poker face.
So the game has a very different dynamic when you got someone like Phil Hellmuth in the game, because he's going to start limping a lot more than what's typical in a six-handed game. Now, we also had a straddle going on in this game, and he decided to knit up and not straddle, but instead he min-raised to 800 from first position. I decided to re-raise him with 6 deuce of clubs, and then my plan kind of got foiled because Doyle Brunson called the button. And I know he's not calling with garbage. Phil Hellmuth also calls. The three of us see a flop. Flops queen 7-5.
Check it.
Phil checks, and I start thinking about whether or not it's worth it to try to steal this pot. But I think, you know, Doyle's got such a strong hand that it's too dangerous. So I decided to just give up completely. I just check. And Doyle, he thought for a bit, but he checked. Now the turn comes a 4, but it's also a spade. Backdoor flush draw. And Phil Hellmuth bets 7,000. And now I'm thinking, okay, he could be doing this with a hand like 2 8s, 2 9s, 2 10s. With the right card on the river, I could bluff him. Plus, I have a straight draw now. So I decided to call and reevaluate in the river. And Doyle, he folded on the button, so I was like, phew, got through him. Now the river is a deuce of spades. So it's kind of a weird card because the flush got there, so I could represent that. But I also made a pair. So if he has nothing, I can beat him. But he bets 6,000. I'm already like, okay, he doesn't have a flush. I've seen Phil Hellmuth make these bets a lot, and more often than not, it's usually not the nuts.
Just don't reach for a bunch of those great chips.
So I decide, I raise it, like 40,000. He just instantly folded.
Good bet.
It really just came down to me knowing that his bet size on the river just screamed of a very weak attempt at a bluff. So I'm like, no, not on my watch. Just in case my deuces weren't good, I had to raise it and get him off maybe if he had a pair of 7s or something stupid like that.
That is a great opportunity to see what the pros are thinking during a hand, and it'll be a regular feature here on the big game. Wonder what Phil thought about it.
Now, that's when you could have moved all in there. If you had the guts, the heart and commitment to the game, you move in.
Let's just watch for a few minutes here, see what happens.
Tony G actually has a point. We know that Phil only had king high, but when Daniel raised so much on the river, he didn't know he was actually bluffing with the best hand.
It is hand 56 of 150. Gets going with the Hall of Famer, 7-4 suited.
You may be surprised to see Doyle reaching for chips there. He raised, but no surprise. It's our loose cannon's big blind.
Locke has folded. Tony G calls. Hellmuth folds. And Ernest Wiggins, our loose cannon,
22.
ace-queen offsuit, also makes the call.
Another passive play from E-Dub. These guys are having no problem ganging up on him.
Daniel Negreanu makes it a party of 4. I know it's supposed to be party of 5, but we just have room for 4 at this table, Joe.
There can be any size party, Chris.
4 deuce tray.
OMG, Ernest leads out with an ace high.
Bet of 2,000 gets Negreanu out of the way.
He does have a gut shot draw and a backdoor heart draw.
Doyle calls with top pair. Tony G folds.
Doyle might like his 4, but he's probably just as surprised to see Ernest lead out as we are.
A 9 of hearts on the turn.
Ernest has just hit one of the 2 hearts he needs to make the nut flush.
Check.
A check by E-Dub.
I can't, Doyle, you cool with me, man. You cool with me.
Okay, deal.
Ernest maybe could have won the hand right there. He followed up with another bet.
Queen.
Ernest now has a pair of queens.
God, Dave. I checked, Doyle.
Another
I
check.
got to check to you.
Okay.
I got the queen. Ace queen.
Oh, an ace of heart.
Wonderful world we live in.
I was really hoping for the flush.
I finally made a pair. Okay, that's good.
The loose cannon gets back on the board, raking in a pot of 13,600.
She's going to kill me. What you doing showing your hands? I already know what she's going to say, man.
Ernest is referencing both his girlfriend and his poker coach. So basically his life boss.
I heard there'd be days like this.
Oh, the loose cannon, Ernest Wiggins was able to right the ship a little bit, but he's going to have to kick it into gear if he wants to earn some cash. Daniel ends the night up, and Doyle continues to struggle. But it's Phil Locke who made the biggest move. After starting the night down 3 dimes, he finishes up almost 75 grand.
All right, boys, that was our last hand of the night. Ernest,
Hey.
you're almost back to positive, aren't you?
We working on it. We working on it.
Yeah?
Hey.
Doyle has some catching up to do. My favorite.
Tough night so far.
All right, guys, I'm Amanda Leatherman saying goodbye for now. And remember, if you've got the cash and the guts, there's always a seat open at the big game. See you next time.
If you want to appear on the big game and be a loose cannon, log on to PokerStars.net. There are free qualifying tournaments every day. For Joe Stapleton, I'm Chris Rose. We'll see you tomorrow night.
He's not getting the best of it today. I'm mad.
No, he's not.
Do you have a queen, really?
Oh, yeah.
You can't lie because what difference does it make?
Tony just wants action.
Yeah.